about locker room dust-ups you got into when you were covering sports for 40 years?
God. Okay. This is the best one ever. And I'm not going to tell the player's name. One time when I was at the Chronicle, it was a day game, and I was looking for a certain player before the game. I was near his locker, but someone who had the locker next to him, the player wasn't there that I was looking for. So I was hanging around, and the player at the locker next to him looked at me and he said, "You are a dick-smoking cocksucker."
Wow, direct quote.
Direct quote. Iggy, I just said it.
Say it. It happened. Yeah, no, I'm okay.
Okay.
Wow, a dick-smoking cocksucker? That's descriptive.
I looked at him and I said, "Are you talking to me?" And he said, "Yeah, you heard what I said. You're a dick-smoking cocksucker." So what I wanted to say, first of all, was that's a mixed metaphor.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it. But then I thought, I've never written about this guy. I've never even talked to this guy.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? Thanks for clarifying that. I'll be in touch. So I went up, and there was nothing really that happened in the game that day that I wanted to write a column about.
Yeah.
So this guy was a marginal player, and I wrote he was number 25 on a 25-man roster. They ought to send him down to the minors and bring someone more gifted up and give him a chance. And that was on the front page of the Sporting Green the next day. So they were playing at home again the next day. I went over to the guy at his locker and I said, "Hi, you got anything else to say?" And
Do you like apples?
You know how he dropped his eyes, Iggy? He couldn't even look at me. And my message was, you can screw with me here, but you can't screw with me.
No.
And
say something else. Say something else.
Yes, say something else, because I'll send you down to the minors, to the AA. Yeah. And I was now I was amused by it. I'm still amused by it. But what I wanted to let him know was, there's a power balance here.
Yep.
And if you're going to be shitty to me, watch.
Yep.
So now, Will Clark at first didn't like me. I would come into the clubhouse and he would give me the finger. He'd be talking to other, is this on the, give me the finger. And Lowell Cohn, like that. And then it's in my book. One time I was at Candlestick. I was in the dugout early before a day game. And I just wasn't in the mood to go into the clubhouse because I knew what I wrote would be something based on the game. So I'm sitting alone. It was early. It was a beautiful morning, sunny. Here comes Will up the tunnel. And we're alone. There was no one else. There was just Will Clark and me in the dugout. So he starts pacing back and forth, holding a bat. Holding a bat.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, what's going to happen? There's no witnesses. He's going to brain me.
He's got a weapon.
He's got a weapon. So finally he stops and he stares in front of me. He says, "Lowell Cohn, you think you're so effing smart."
Well, now you're going to censor yourself.
Well, I don't know if you're allowed to say that word.
You can say it.
"Lowell Cohn, you think you're so fucking smart." Well, I just want you to know, when I was in college, I read Shakespeare and all that shit. That's what he said. And I thought, that's the greatest quote I ever had. And in years after, Will and I became quite friendly. Now, again, we're not friends. You never become friends.
No.
But you can be friendly. And he would see me and say, "Tell the Shakespeare story again. Tell it. I love the Shakespeare story." And it became a joke between us. Yes.
What? Real quick, do the Dwayne Kuiper one.
Oh, Dwayne Kuiper. And this this was me. It was all on me. I was a schmuck. He had come to the Giants, and I had read that he had a really bad knee. So like a jerk, I wrote a column saying that why'd they get him? He has an 80-year-old knee. Now, Kuiper, as you know, is the most delightful person. He didn't take offense. So I go in the clubhouse, and he had Darrell Evans. When Lowell comes in, show me who Lowell is. Darrell Evans is pointing. So now Kuiper comes over. He says, "Lowell, I'm introducing myself. I want to let you know I read your comment about my 80-year-old knee." He says, "Here's what we'll do. There's a guy who sits outside the clubhouse in a little chair. He knew his name. I don't know his name. He's 80 years old. Let's go out and have him kick you in the nuts with his 80-year-old leg, and then I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll see who has an 80-year-old knee. And I said, you know what? You win. I don't need it. I apologize. And we have had so much fun with that. There's even a chapter in my book about it, and he got a real giggle out of it. And
last one. What about Kevin Mitchell?
Yeah, Kevin Mitchell. Now, Kevin Mitchell was allegedly scary because he came from San Diego, and everybody said, all the journalists were saying, he was in a gang. He's got to be. So I don't know nothing. Anyway, I see him by second base during batting practice with Jeffrey Leonard, who was another one who's pretty tough.
Yeah.
And they're pointing at me. And they're pointing at me, and then they come over. And then they come over.
Sounds like what happened to me the other day.
Sounds like what happened to meeting. They come over, and Jeffrey stays a little away, but Kevin, he's pointing at me. He says, I don't like this shit you wrote about me. I don't like that shit, and you better watch out. And I said, who are you trying to scare?
Yeah.
You're not scaring anybody.
Yeah.
Knock it off. He said, okay. And we became very friendly. In fact, even Iggy, you met him. You liked him. He was very nice to us.
He was extremely nice to us.
He's a great guy. Yes. But then when he walked away, Leonard had watched it and heard it. And he came over and he goes, whoa, he goes, you love this shit. That's what he said. The hack man. He says, you love this shit. And I said, Jeffrey, I do. And he goes, great. And so part of being a journalist, let me say this again, a sports journalist is having a certain amount of backbone because they're going to try to threaten you.
Yeah.
And it's in the system. They're guys who know how to use their bodies and use anger, and you have to show you're not afraid.
One thing also I want to point out, I think this was 2009. I was still in college. You took me to spring training to get my feet wet as a journalist. I interviewed Dusty Baker about something. And before the interview started, he took me to the side and said, I just want you to know, your dad isn't scared of shit, and I've seen it. And I've seen it too. I know. But yeah, he was really quite impressed. So anyway.
Yeah, in any event, so the point is, I've had that. And Iggy, I've also had death threats from fans on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
I know where you live. I'm going to get you, things like that. And that makes you uncomfortable. Now, I've never had a death threat from a player, but I have had from fans. So, one time at the Chronicle, someone at security at the Chronicle called me in a very worried voice. Someone called in and said he's going to kill you. And, I was kind of nervous, if you want to know the truth.
But did you tell him not to? Hey, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. He's a nice guy.
It's against the law.